And now on Multitrack 3, we move on to the Band of Susans, the latest in a long line of talent to emerge from the New York music scene. A scene rich in a tradition of groundbreaking experimental sound, responsible for the likes of the Velvet Underground and Sonic Youth. The Band of Susans have worked with the avant-garde composer Rhys Chatham, famed for his classical, minimalist music for guitars. Although perhaps not as extreme, Chatham's influence has filtered through in the form of a penetrating three-guitar onslaught. They've got their name because originally there were 3 Susans in the band, just as you'd expect really. But now there's only one, Susan Stenger, and she, along with other founder member Robert Poss, came into the Multitrack 3 studio to talk to Nick Reynolds on the London leg of their European tour promoting the new album The Word and the Flesh. They'll be introducing themselves in a moment, but first we'll have a taster of a 13-minute long one-chord guitar number called Guitar Trio.
I'm Susan Stenger, and I play bass and sing, songwrite.
I'm Robert Poss, and I play guitar and sing, but I'm also a Susan.
Welcome to Multitrack 3, Robert and Susan. Let's talk about the Band of Susans, and you've got 3 guitars in the band. What is it about the guitar that you find so fascinating?
What attracts me about the guitar is how little you have to do to make interesting sounds. How little you have to do if you have a certain kind of distortion or processing or feedback, or just what you can do with 6 strings, and not even doing all kinds of elaborate technique. For me, what attracts me about the guitar is simply the sound of the vibrating strings and what you can do with that. And it's of any instrument I've ever sort of encountered, there's nothing that pleases me more than just hitting the string, just an open string, because of all the overtones. So it's on a real simple level, I guess.
It takes a lot of discipline to work in a band like this because we don't improvise in the studio very much, and there isn't much of that quality of like jamming in our music. We may do things like that to develop songs, but when we actually work them out and then go into the studio, they're quite precise, and I think that's what gives the music its unusual quality compared to a lot of other American guitar bands is that we don't have like long jamming solos, and we don't have the traditional hierarchy of the guitars either. Like there's a rhythm guitar, there's a lead guitar. Sometimes there are 3 equal rhythm guitars, and in fact quite often sometimes one guitar stands out in a certain way and the other 2 are completely equal and interlocking. And it does take a lot of discipline, especially when you have 3 really great guitarists who can do all kinds of different things, to not feel compelled to show off everything you can do all the time.
I think the reason that our stuff sounds the way it sounds is that the parts are precise. There's a lot of thought that goes into the part, and the process is basically one of stripping stuff down to the barest essentials. Anything that's extraneous, anything that's sort of flamboyant or showy is basically subtracted, and we try to get at the essence of what each part is, and then we have these 3 parts.
If we don't feel like we need to change chords to achieve a certain effect, then we don't. In fact, one of our earlier songs, Hope Against Hope, is pretty much in E all the way through, and some people have commented that they're suspicious that we don't know any other chords, but and we don't know too many, but we know more than E.
We know what we need to know, I guess, is the important thing. In our music, I think, compared to virtually anyone I've ever heard except people that have no vocals, we have a very high guitar level, which doesn't mean the vocals are unimportant. The vocals actually are quite important, and if the vocals were not important, we would not have them. But we like the vocals to be enveloped by the guitars, and we like almost what's been called a wall of guitars, but we like the vocals sort of fighting with the guitars. So this horrifies and astonishes most sound engineers, and we like it that way. And again, it varies from song to song. There's songs that have a more conventional pop vocal level, and there's songs where the vocals are almost subliminal, and we work in all those areas.
You're actually on tour at the moment in England and Europe. What does it actually feel like when you're on stage and you have these three guitars going around you? What kind of feelings are there for you?
For me, I really just never felt anything like it. I feel totally transported because it's much more than the kind of euphoria of performing what you've worked so hard to develop. It's a real physical sensation to have this sound all around you. And we like to use a high stage level in order to put ourselves in the middle of it. And it's very powerful, and we try very hard to create that environment for the audience as well.
Plot twist from the Band of Susan's latest album, The Word and the Flesh. And if that little taster was to your liking, you can catch up with them on their European tour. They play Sweden on the 1st of June and will be going on to play Denmark, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Holland and Belgium before coming back here to Britain at the end of the month.